Today, I'll present a detailed analysis of ability, a fundamental aspect of human behavior that drives workplace productivity and job satisfaction. So, in this report, we will be learning what is ability, types of cognitive ability, types of emotional ability, types of physical ability, how cognitive ability affect job performance and organizational commitment, and steps that organizations take to hire people with high levels of cognitive abilities. The term ability describes a person's comparatively constant and long-lasting capacities that allow them to successfully carry out a range of connected tasks. With roots in both genetic and environmental variables, talents are more innate and less malleable than skills, which may be learned, honed, and improved rather fast. But skills are not totally set in stone. They can develop gradually with regular training, practice, and exposure to difficult situations. Reasoning, memory, and problem solving are examples of cognitive skills that can be improved by mental training and education, but they are still limited by a person's innate capacity. Each of the many different types of abilities, which include cognitive, emotional, and physical domains. Abilities are categorized into cognitive, emotional, and physical domains. So each playing a unique role, okay, in performance. So this contributes in a different way to job performance and interpersonal relationships. Understanding the difference between abilities and skills enable businesses to customize their hiring, training, and development plans. So guaranteeing that workers are assigned to positions that play to their inherent strengths. So this viewpoint emphasizes how crucial it is to acknowledge innate abilities as well as provide conditions for incremental improvements. Cognitive abilities encompass thinking, problem solving, and adaptability. So that is vital for tackling complex challenges. So we will learn here more about the different cognitive abilities. So here we have a figure signifying the types and facets of cognitive abilities. So here we have first the verbal, quantitative, reasoning, spatial, perceptual. So first here, as you can see for verbal, in the second column, we have the more specific facet, and the third one is jobs where this type of ability is relevant. So here, for example, verbal, we have oral and written comprehension and oral and written expression. So for oral and written comprehension, understanding and written spoken words and sentences. For oral and written expression, communicating ideas by speaking or writing so that others can understand. So the jobs that that are relevant to this type of ability, it may be like business executives, police officers, fire office officials, so ambulance dispatchers, clinical psychologists. Here, the next line, we have the verbal activity. It refers to the various capabilities associated with understanding and expressing oral and written communication. And next, we have the oral comprehension. It is the ability to understand spoken words and sentences. Next, we have the written comprehension, which is the ability to understand, of course, written words and sentences. Next, we have the cultural intelligence. So this is the ability to discern differences among people that are due to culture and to understand what these differences mean in terms of the way people tend to think and behave in different situations. So, cognitive cultural intelligence, it is the source of cultural intelligence that corresponds to the head, okay? Because with the cultural intelligence, we have the head and the body and the heart. So, for cognitive cultural intelligence, the source, it corresponds to the head. So, this refers to the ability to sense differences among people due to culture and to use this knowledge in planning how to interact with others in anticipating of a cross-cultural encounter. So physical cultural intelligence, it is the source of cultural intelligence that corresponds to the body. So this refers to the ability to adapt one's behavior when a cultural encounter requires it. Next, we have the emotional cultural intelligence. So the source of cultural intelligence that corresponds is for the heart naman si emotional cultural intelligence. These concepts refers to the level of effort and persistence an individual exerts when trying to understand and adapt to new cultures. So, we move on now to quantitative ability. So, this refers to two types of mathematical capabilities. The first one is number facility. The second is the mathematical reasoning. So, we have here number facility, which is the capacity to do simple math operations like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So, mathematical reasoning refers to the ability to choose and apply formulas to solve problems that involve numbers. So, medyo higher na si mathematical reasoning. So, next we have the reasoning ability, a diverse set of abilities associated with sensing and solving problems using insight, rules, and logic. We have two reasoning abilities, problem sensitivity and deductive reasoning. Okay, problems sensitivity, okay, it is the ability to sense that there's a problem right now or likely to be one in the near future. So, and next we have the deductive reasoning. The ability that refers to the use of general rules or hypotheses as a starting point to solve a problem. Individuals who possess high deductive reasoning ability are able to reach effective conclusions by comparing how available information fits with an existing rule or hypothesis. So, ang balian na niya, we have the inductive reasoning, which refers to the ability to consider several specific pieces of information to generate a hypothesis and a plausible solution. Individuals with high inductive reasoning ability are able to produce solutions to problems by synthesizing available data and information. So example of people with this type of ability are the policemen or the investigators. And next we have the originality, refers to the ability to develop clever and novel ways to solve problems. Next, we have the spatial ability. Now, this is very important for engineers and architects. Capabilities associated with visual and mental representation and manipulation of objects in space. So we have two spatial abilities, spatial orientation and visualization. So spatial orientation refers to a good understanding of where one is relative to other things in the environment. So an example of this is an ability of a person not to recognize where is he in a certain location. So he's able to say, for example, you are inside the university, so you're going uh, to locate, oh, there is BQ Mall over there, and on that orientation or in that direction, you're going to go to DBP or ICM. So you are able to connect yourself with your surroundings. And that is also very important with people who do planning. Because even if it's not yet there, they are able to imagine it inside their head already, even when you are talking with um, condominiums or even airports. Okay. So next we have the another part of this spatial ability is visualization. So this refers to the ability to imagine how separate things will look as if they were put together in a particular way. So like for future architects, it is very important that before you are going to build a house, everything is already inside your head from the foundation and to all the envelope of the building. Okay, so that's how we make the construction details. So everything should be inside your brain already. So it's not just design, but it's the preparation of the whole process for the workers to follow. So next we have the perceptual ability. So refers to being able to perceive, understand, and recall patterns of information. We also have the general cognitive ability, the consistency in the level of different cognitive abilities within people, sometimes called the G factor or simply G. No? So we have here this figure. This shows the G factor or the general cognitive ability. Next, we move on to the emotional ability. Emotional ability comprises self-awareness, other awareness, emotion regulation, and the use of emotions. So emotional ability reflects social functioning. It is defined in terms of a set of distinct but related activities. Self-awareness, the first type of emotional intelligence, it is also known as the appraisal and expression of emotions in oneself. So this facet refers to the ability of an individual to understand the types of emotions he or she is experiencing, the willingness to acknowledge them, and the capability to express them naturally. So other awareness, now the second facet of emotional intelligence, it is known as the appraisal and recognition of emotion in others. So other people don't have this type of awareness, no? It's hard for them to realize na people are experiencing that type of emotion. So ginaingon sila nga manhid, no, sometimes. So it refers to a person's ability to recognize and understand the emotions that other people are feeling. So that is one ability that is very important when looking for employees. So that people who have this ability, the type of awareness, they are able to have a good teamwork within the organization. So next we have the emotion regulation, the third facet of emotional intelligence. This refers to being able to recover quickly from emotional experiences. So it's like the person is able to move on and let go of the negative things that they are experiencing. So they are very strong mentally. So they're very good in regulating their emotions. That is also very important, especially in the workplace. No? Huwag nating dibdibin lahat kasi nakaka-stress. Okay. Next, we have the use of emotions, the fourth aspect of emotional intelligence. This capability reflects the degree to which people can harness emotions and employ them to improve their chances of being successful in whatever they are seeking to. So, it can be in a positive side, it can be in a negative side. So, in the positive side, um, for example, you are experiencing trouble, no? For example, you are a writer and then you need to publish your output or your book because the publishers are ready to publish your book. You have a set of deadlines, so you're going to use that pressure, the emotion that you're feeling to eventually finish your work. Or maybe if you're too overwhelmed, maybe it's also a point where you say, okay, I'll just give this up. Okay, those are two sides of like an example of using emotions in your decision making. Next, for managers, emotional intelligence is essential since it improves their capacity to lead successfully from enduring bonds with others and foster a healthy work atmosphere. High emotional intelligence managers are able to comprehend and control their own feelings, which enables them to make deliberate judgments and maintain composure um, under stress. No? Additionally, they are able to identify and feel their teammates' emotions, which promote trust. Managers can inspire their teams, empathize with employee concerns, and modify their leadership style to suit each person's needs by utilizing emotional intelligence. So, this ability is particularly crucial for managing contentious discussions, settling conflicts, and motivating staff members during trying times. So successful leadership ultimately depends on emotionally intelligent managers who foster stronger organizational commitment, improve team performance, and increase job satisfaction. So here we have an example of the assessment. So how emotionally intelligent are you? So you can try answering these, and then after answering, you can total the score. So for number one, I have a good sense of why I have certain feelings most of the time. So have you place the number of uh, that corresponds your feeling, no? If you totally agree or um, totally disagree. So number two, I have a good understanding of my own emotions. Number three, I really understand what I feel. Number four, I always know whether or not I am happy. Do you always know whether you are happy or not? So number five, I am good observer of others' emotions. So some people are not good observers now of other people's emotions. I always know my friends' emotions from their behavior. So I am sensitive to the feelings and emotions of others. I have a good understanding of the emotions of people around me. Do you have that understanding? Okay. Number nine, I always set goals for myself and then try my best to achieve them. Number 10, I always tell myself I am a competent person. Are you a competent person? Okay. Number 11, I am a self-motivating person. Number 12, I would always encourage myself to try my best. Number 13, I am able to control my temper so that I can handle difficulties rationally. Number 14, I am quite capable of controlling my own emotions. And number 15, I can always calm down quickly when I am very angry. And the last one, I have good control over my emotions. Okay, now for scoring, you need to follow these steps. Okay? So for self-awareness, you have to sum up items 1 to 4. Okay, 1 to 4 only. And then for other awareness, you have to sum up items 5 to 8. For emotion use, you have to sum up items 9 to 12. And for emotion regulation, you have to sum up items 13 to 16. So you have to total each of the sections. Now, if you scored 19 or above, then you are above average on a particular dimension. But if you scored 18 or below, then you are below average on a particular dimension. So that means you need to work on that area. So physical ability, we move on to the next one. We have the physical ability encompasses strength, stamina, flexibility, coordination, psychomotor, and sensory abilities. So strength, that is the degree to which the body is capable of exerting force. And we have static strength, which refers to the ability to lift, push, or pull very heavy objects using the hands, arms, legs, and shoulders or back. So this ability is involved in jobs in which people need to lift objects like boxes, equipment, and machine parts, and heavy tools. Next, with the physical ability is the explosive strength. So people exert short bursts of energy to move the body for an object. So employees who are required to run, jump, or throw things at work depend on their explosive strength to be effective. So next we have the dynamic strength. Kasagaran nagneed og dynamic strength is ang ato ang mga firefighters. So this refers to the ability to exert force for a prolonged period of time without becoming overly fatigued and giving out. So this strength involved in jobs that require all three. No? So next we have another physical ability. We have uh, stamina, which refers to the ability of a person's lungs and circulatory system to work efficiently while he or she is engaging in prolonged physical activity. So flexibility and coordination. Flexibility refers to the ability to bend, stretch, twitch, or reach. And coordination is the quality of physical movement. So psychomotor abilities refers to capacity to manipulate and control objects. So sensory abilities, it refers to the capabilities associated with vision and hearing. So first we have the most important is the visual abilities, which includes the ability to see things up close and at a distance or in a low light context, as well as the ability to perceive colors and judge relative distances between things accurately. So for example, like our medical technologists, no, mag-adto sila sa laboratory, okay, or people who repairs watches. Those are the examples. And then next, the ability of the sensory abilities, we have the hearing um, ability. So also referred to as auditory abilities, include the capability to hear and discriminate sounds that vary in terms of loudness and pitch, being able to focus on a single sound in the presence of many other sounds, and the ability to identify and understand the speech of another person. So people who are very gifted, like the sound engineers, or um, when you are included in an orchestra, so this is for you, this type of work. So next, no, as far as I have presented to you with the description of the domain of human abilities, this figure summarizes them all. So these abilities play an important role in determining how effective we can be at different tasks and jobs. So when you learn more about those abilities, all of us in a general sense, we all have those things, but there's a specific type of ability that we are very good at. And if we know that ability, um it it helps us to recognize what type of career do we take or we focus, no? Other people mag-change career if they know their ability. Oh, I have that ability, so maybe I go for this. Abilities result from an interaction of genetic predispositions and environmental factors such as education, training, and life experiences. The dynamic interplay of environmental factors and genetic predis- predispositions shapes abilities. So the basis comes from genetics, which establishes innate potential in domains, including cognitive ability, muscular prowess, and sensory perception. These innate characteristics set a baseline that differs from person to person, resulting in inherent variations in their ability to perform tasks like motor coordination, flexibility, and problem solving. So, however, abilities um, are not defined solely by heredity. So, in order to nurture and develop this potential, environmental variables are crucial. Through organized chances to hone cognitive and emotional skills, education, and training give people the means to successfully utilize their natural capabilities. So life experiences such as difficult encounters, connections made, and exposure to a range of circumstances further mold skills by providing real world context in which to use and improve them. Okay. For instance, no, for instance, even if a person may be genetically inclined to a highly verbal, this talent can be enhanced with regular practice through reading, writing, and participating in conversations. So, similar to this, developing empathy, practicing self control, and navigating intricate social dynamics all significantly improve emotional intelligence. So, even though it is still influenced by intrinsic disposition, to some extent, no, in the end, the interaction of environmental and genetics emphasizes the significance of both recognizing innate potential and establishing stimulating surroundings that promote development, allowing people to realize their greatest potential in both personal and professional contexts. Organizations use tools like the Wonderlic test to assess abilities paired with training to enhance performance. Ability tests like the Wonderlic cognitive ability test are frequently used by organizations to make employment decisions, but caution should be exercised to prevent inadvertent bias. So, without changing an employee's natural ability levels, training can improve performance by augmenting cognitive and emotional skills. So here I have an example of that test. There are also corresponding points for each type of job. Okay, so this is an example of the Wonderlic test. You can take the test and then there are answers below. So with the score, you're going to have a 1 point each. Usually in the Wonderlic test, this comprises for like 1 to 50 items. Okay, 1 to 50 items, and then 1 point each. Now, there is a specific scoring for that for a specific or relevant type of job. So, for example, a mechanical engineer, 30, attorney, 29, and executive and others. So, for example, like an unskilled laborer, 17. Huh? So, maid matron, 16. Police officer, 22. Firefighter, 21. So, these are just examples of the Wonderlic questions. So recognizing and leveraging employee abilities creates productive and satisfied workforce, driving organizational success. Organizations may match jobs to individual strengths by having a clear understanding of the various sorts of skills, which promotes workplace happiness and productivity. Cognitive skills are crucial in jobs demanding analytical thinking because they enable workers to thrive in problem solving, decision making, and flexibility. So, by encouraging effective communication, empathy, and conflict resolution, emotional intelligence is equally vital in leadership and team environments. So even though they are sometimes disregarded, physical talents are essential for jobs like construction or healthcare that call for strength, endurance, or precise motor skills. So organizations may develop a workforce that is productive and content in their positions by identifying and utilizing these skills. So that is all for ability. This is your reporter for the day, Architect Jenny Divino Libot. Thank you so much and have a great day.